Should never, never, never overpromise, but you should. Have you ever felt like you couldn't fully communicate a possible transformation that you have for somebody because you're nervous that if you do communicate the possible transformation that it's a way of overpromising, and all you want to do is feel confident to freely speak possibility over somebody without feeling like you're promising them that that would happen for them. This is a really important skill to have, is how to communicate vision without over promising. And I also just want to remind you that like in selling, you should never, never, never overpromise, but you should communicate vision. In fact, it is of my opinion that people don't even know how good it can get. They've never even thought about the future as beautiful and as bright as you see it. And I really want you to feel free to communicate vision, but also don't overpromise. I'll tell you, I'll never forget the first investment that I ever made. I've made anywhere from a $7 investment all the way to $1 million coaching program. So I promise you, I know. I know what it's like to invest a lot of money in something. And I remember doing this $8,000 investment. It was the first time I ever borrowed money for a coaching program. And I think it was a really small little mastermind. I can't even remember exactly. It was maybe 6 or 7 years ago. But I remember feeling like I was the one that was behind, that it was working for everybody else, but it wasn't working for me. But I kept doing it. Like I just kept doing what I was told to do. I was told to do like make webinars and have all these email sequences and have this like huge guide to for people to opt into and to set up for sales call. Like I just kept running the play even though it wasn't really working for me. And now that I'm like 7 years after that investment, I realize that really the work is always working. It's either working for you or it's working on you. And that work 1,000,000% was working on me. And I'm so thankful to this day that that person casted a vision for me and I kept taking swings. Really think about that. Like as people are coming into your world, you don't really know what I call like chain links. You know what chain links that they have. So you can think about, these are my little chain link circles right here. Most people have all this experience in kind of different arenas, right? Like maybe they got a master's in business. That's helpful. Maybe they've been a stay-at-home mom for a few years. Maybe they've used Instagram before. Maybe they never have used Instagram before, but they've done door-to-door selling. Like they have all this experience, but it's just not all connected in a strong chain link. And the only way for them to get one strong chain link is if they keep building blocks, like they keep laying bricks every single day and keep running the plays. So as people are coming into your world, like always, 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 always cast vision without overpromising. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to do that in just a second. And just know that like you're not responsible for the chain links that they come in with first. It's not up to you to make sure that they have certain things in line. And it's also not up to you to make sure they go get the next chain link that they need in order. It is your job to offer them the best chain link that you can give them, period. And to do it in a way that is just like masterfully for you to master your one skill. In fact, like we teach sales skills. And to be honest, sales skills is one chain link. In fact, our mentor has said sales skills isn't the most important thing, but is the first most important thing. He says every time you walk into your business building, metaphorically, you enter into the floor of sales. So let me draw this out for you. I'm just going to draw it on this paper right here. Let's say this is your business building. And the bottom level right here is the sales building, the sales floor. Then maybe you have the marketing floor. Then maybe you have a branding floor. Then maybe you have like a team building floor. Then maybe you have I don't know, like you want to sell the business, like an exit floor. Like there's all these floors that you need to enter into to build a business. But he said every time you want to go to marketing, you want to go to branding, you want to go to building a team, you want to exit the business, you have to enter the first floor first. And that is the floor of selling. And I'll be honest, like a lot of people come into our program with entering into branding first, and now they're having to back up and go to sales. And some people have done Instagram before, some people haven't, some people have had sales conversations before, sometimes they haven't, and everybody kind of moves at a different speed depending on the chain links that they have. But what's important for you is to just love them on their journey and encourage them all along the way, and make sure, hear me when I say this, make sure you're not making their progress about you. Make sure you're not making their success a reflection of you. It's not, it has nothing to do with you. You are just a step along the way. I would encourage you not to take credit for anything, but just to be the best chain link that you can be. This was actually a question that was sent to us by our SALESGIRL social, Ask a Sales Girl, from the newsletter. And the question was, how do you remain confident in communicating the transformation when you know they might need a few other things on their chain link, so to speak? And so I really want to speak to the remain confident. How do you remain confident as you are selling your transformation? And I want to tell you really quickly the epiphany moment that I had when I realized I had something so special and so incredibly powerful. So I was actually working in children's ministry, and I was doing some of the hardest work I had ever done in my life. I mean, I was picking up heavy things and climbing ladders and, making really hot coffee and carrying big pots of canisters of coffee and sharpening, like just a lot of physical labor. And it was not the movie that I wanted to be in. I loved the organization. I loved the people that I worked with, and I loved the mission that I was on. But the actual work itself, I was like, yeah, I'm not into this. So when I saw people on social media, this was like 2015, I believe, when I saw people on social media posting about how they were making money by simply sharing their life on Instagram, like really think about this, basically giving a play-by-play, and then people will ask them, how do I buy from you simply because I like you? I thought, oh, that's so easy. I can be fun. I can be entertaining. I can talk to a wall. That's what I'll do. It turns out it was network marketing. And I didn't even know. Can you believe that there was a universe in which someone didn't know about network marketing? That was me. I had no idea, but I signed up. I was like, man, this is going to be so easy. And that's exactly what I did. I shared my life. I gave a play-by-play. I feel like I was on Instagram just from sun up to sundown, truthfully. And let me be clear. I was definitely getting some engagement. Like, people were having conversations with me, but it was about everything except, hear me now, except the thing that I was selling. Now, I grew up in a home that was a very high achieving home, and I'm super thankful for it now, but there was really no messing around when it came to sports and school. And my parents were kind of just always in my ear about being the best that you could possibly be. But my dad was specifically in my ear about one thing and one thing only since around high school. He was in my ear about learning how to sell. And of course, when you're in high school, your dad is old and dumb and not cool and doesn't know anything. And so I resisted him. I said, Dad, that's the old school way of how to sell. That's not what you did. Well, first of all, in high school, I wanted nothing to do with selling. But when I was actually selling on Instagram, he was telling me, Macy, I'm telling you, you need to know how to sell. You need to know how to sell. You're not being very direct. You're not being very clear. In fact, you're coming off really ashamed to sell. You're not being direct, right? And I questioned him. I was like, ashamed? When you're ashamed, you're hiding. I'm not hiding. I'm showing up every single day. But what I found is that I wasn't ever actually talking about my product. And when I realized he was right, I did go back to him to learn how to sell. But I will say, the way I pushed him back so hard, because I told him that is the old school way to do it, is to be direct and to be clear and to actually sell your offer. You're supposed to do something called curiosity marketing. You'll have to let me know if you've heard that before, where you basically talk about everything except your actual product so that people are curious about what you're doing. And when I was working hard and not making any sales, I went back to him and I said, okay, I am ready to learn. And he said, under one condition, he said, put away everything else, put away the podcast, put away the YouTubes, put away the other mentors, and just focus on selling. And that is exactly what I did. I would go to his office, I would sit beside him, we'd role play, we'd practice, we'd go back and forth, and then I would implement in the world. I would implement on Instagram, I'd implement in conversations, I was jumping on calls. I'm telling you, I had never had so much fun in my life playing the sales game, baby. If you know, you know. And when I realized I was about 6 months in and I checked like my numbers, I honestly was having so much fun playing the game. I wasn't even thinking about the numbers, I wasn't even checking the scoreboard. I was just playing. It was so much fun. 6 months later, I realized I'd had my first $10,000 month. But I will tell you the epiphany moment, like the true epiphany moment that I had was, what? Wait a minute. Are you telling me that I didn't have to change a single thing that I did? I just had to do what I was already doing with skill. Like I was still on Instagram, I was still doing voice memos, I was still doing stories, I was still jumping on calls. I was doing the same exact things. I was just doing it with skill. And my mind was blown. And I will tell you, in that moment, what ended up happening is I felt almost separated from everybody else. I felt like I was here on my island doing my sales girl thing, and I was watching everybody else on their island not having what I had. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're telling me you're out here surviving without sales skills? You're telling me you're out here doing business and showing up and talking to people and trying to make your business work without sales skills? Like, how are you surviving?" I felt separated from the world. And that's when I knew, I was like, okay, we are about to start selling this program on how to teach people how to sell. It was a automatic, instant, overwhelming just decision that had to be made. Now, here is where it started to get hard. Are you ready? It started to get hard when I actually started selling the thing. Like, I'm curious to know if that's you. It's like you have your epiphany moment where you feel separated, when you know you have something special, and then you start selling it, and all of a sudden you start to question if what you have is any good. I know for me, I was so sold, so bought on. And remember, when I was learning all of this, I put away all the podcasts, I put away all the books, I put away all the other voices, and I only focused on selling, sales skills. That's all I focused on. And when I started to kind of reintroduce other voices into my life, I was getting so many mixed messages. I was getting people telling me like, you don't need to know how to sell. You just need to know how to do paid advertising. You don't to know how to sell. You just need to know how to do funnels. The only reason need to know how to sell is because you're a bad marketer. So you just need marketing. Oh, you know what? The only people that have to get good at selling are the people that have a bad brand. You need to build your brand. You don't need to know. Like, people weren't necessarily saying you don't need to know how to sell, but that's how I was taking it. I was like, wait, they're saying don't do what I know to be amazing, just do these things. And it totally made me question myself. I was like, oh my gosh, like, wait, are they right? Am I right? And I was having trouble with the confidence to communicate the transformation. And I will tell you, the one thing that locked me back in, and that to this day locks me back in whenever that belief starts to waver, is this one thing. And it is to not, hear me when I say not, is to not talk about what you do, but to talk about what people get out of what they do. So when I started thinking about, okay, what do people get out of mastering sales skills? What do they get out of that? The list just started to come rolling. In fact, it is my belief, and I heard this quoted from somebody, I can't remember off the top of my head who it was, maybe Dan Martell, potentially, but he says, selling is the only industry when you get better at selling, you get better as a person. He said you could be an amazing funnel builder, an amazing marketer, but you can kind of hide behind the internet. Selling, he's like, you got to keep your ship has got to be tight when you're a great salesperson. And I'm like, wow. I mean, I know that I just like want to get better, right? Selling helps you have a predictable outcome. Like, how many of you know exactly what your calls are going to go like? You know exactly the path to take people on, and you know pretty well what the result is going to be. How many of you know that when a launch is on the calendar, or you know, like, I got a speech, I'm going to be on stage, you know what kind of money that you're going to make from that event based on the numbers? Predictability. Selling gives you conviction. Selling gives you this type of energy. There is something called a sales culture, baby. And Daniel Priestley, he was telling us, he's the author of Oversubscribed. He was like, you guys really can help organizations create a sales culture, like sales culture as a service. Sales culture is full of energy, it's positivity, it's belief in the outcome that you desire is going to happen, the expectancy that comes with that, there's nothing like it. And even as you hear me talking about this right now, you might be able to sense I'm getting more fired up. I'm getting more certain. I have so much more confidence, and I feel like I could just like soar through the sky with nothing more than the belief of what I do is valuable and important. So the next time that you're nervous, like this person specifically who asked the question, she said, I help style people to help them attract the ideal client, but they need to know how to write captions. And the tempting thing might be, well, maybe I can teach people how to write captions, and I would just encourage you to stay in your lane. Like for me, my opinion is that you stay in your lane and you be the absolute best stylist that helps people get their ideal client with nothing more than the right color shirt that they wear. Like how powerful is that? And then also like help them get on a journey to learning how to write captions. And really believe in them that they can totally do it with what they have right in front of them. So far what we've talked about is really knowing that people have their own chain links. They come with all different types of experiences, and totally trust that you are the next best chain link and to be the best chain link for their ultimate chain of skill sets. Number two is to really think about and talk about not what you do, but what you get out of what you do. People are going to tell you that they don't need what you have. They only need the fast and easy button. Just, press this button and they'll ultimately get the results. Stay away from learning how to style yourself. In fact, you don't even need to show your face. Just learn how to run the perfect Canva graphic. You're going to hear that all day long. Stay focused, stay diligent, and stay committed to what you get out of what you do. And I want to give you one last thing, and it's a tactic. And it's really the language that you say when someone is asking you these questions of like, hey, are you going to help me get more chain links that you might not offer? So for example, maybe someone says, hey, I know you teach me how to like style myself, but will you teach me how to write captions? Hey, I know you teach me how to count my macros, but will you teach me how to make family meals that go into my macros? Hey, I know that you teach how to go viral, but do you teach the systems that help you really capture those viral videos to actually turn that virality into leads? Like, do you offer these other chain links that go with the one thing that you offer? And what I want you to do is be so blunt and so clear, because as a salesperson, as a sales girl, it can be really tempting to overpromise and say, yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we'll have that. Yeah, you're going to learn. Trust me, I have 100% been there, and I've been on calls where I'm being sold to and they're overpromising. They're like, yeah, we'll help you with that. Yeah, we'll help you with that. And I know it feels like you are getting the sale, but you're actually setting you up and them up for failure. So you don't want to do that. What I want you to say is this. Hey, like that's a really great question. What we don't do is teach you how to write captions, but here's what we will do. Notice what I said. Here's what we will do. We will help you have the framework and the method to dress yourself in a way so that people desire to work with you before they even know what you do. Like, notice, I just took what you already told them that you're going to do and made it feel so much better than what they think that they want. Hey, we're not gonna be able to teach you how to like make family meals to fit your macros, but here's what we will do. You are going to get the personalized plan to keep your energy on track, to keep your physique on track, so that you can like be proud of like your discipline to be able to sit at a family dinner while you don't eat the pasta. That's pretty cool. Hey, we're not gonna teach you how to like make a book funnel, but here's what we will do. You're gonna learn how to self-publish your book in a way that gets it to the absolute masses. Just a slight little version of reminding people what you do offer, and I want you to make it feel like a trade. Like they're saying, hey, can you do this? And I want you to think, here's what we don't do, but here's what we will do, and here's the vision that is possible when you go all in. And the last thing I want to say here, remember, like the vision that you share, think about it as someone has all the puzzle pieces to the puzzle of their future, but they don't have the box of what it should look like up on front. And you are offering the box, the picture up top of all the puzzle pieces that are in front of them. And that is something that, like, honestly, It is belief that you're seeding in them. It is vision that you're placing in their mind, and they will walk towards their most dominant thought, and you get to get that for them. I hope this was helpful. If it was, definitely subscribe and comment below your biggest takeaway, and I'll see you in the next one.